All right, Michael. Michael, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Long Beach, California, so that's where I'm originally from, and yeah, and I've been out here for the last 5 years.
Tell me about your family.
Oh, my on which side, my mom's or dad's side?
Well, how'd you grow up? You grew up with both your parents,
I
or
grew up with both my parents. My parents divorced when they were about 17, so I don't have any contact with my dad. Right now, my mom, she's in Texas.
how would you describe your childhood?
Um, it was tough. It wasn't easy. I mean, it was traumatic. I had both parents that was mainly my dad. He was a really bad alcoholic, so he was an abusive guy. Um, he's tough as shit. And then my mom, she started drinking too. So I grew up with two alcoholic parents, and it was terrifying. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. What kind of kid were you in high school?
Um, I guess to myself a lot. Just very kind of depressed, withdrawn.
Introvert?
Yes, big time introvert. As far as that, I just, did whatever I needed to do to get by as far as, making the grades or whatever it was. And that's pretty much it. I went for a little while where I dropped out of school for a little bit. And at, my mom caught me. She caught me one day when I was ditching and she figured it out. So
Mm.
I ended up finishing high school through homeschool.
I see. Did drugs become part of your life?
No, drugs hadn't become a part of my life till a lot later.
What would you do after school then?
After school, I was playing in a band, so I was a musician. I was playing guitar, and I gigged a lot. So I was doing that, and I was working part-time jobs. I was working at Guitar Center, Hot Topic, and just kind of did that for a little bit. And it wasn't until later I decided to go to school. So I did go to school for a little bit.
And how old are you now?
Right now I'm 38.
38. So drugs came into your life at what point?
I would say in my 20s. That's when I was playing a lot of shows and things like that. That's when I was kind of introduced to different things. I was smoking. At first it started out drinking, so that it was kind of innocent at first. Then came from drinking. Then came smoking pot here and there, which was never my thing. But then I was introduced into cocaine, and so that kind of changed me dramatically. That kind of changed everything. And then from cocaine, I started using methamphetamine, and that kind of wrecked my life basically. When I started using meth, it just kind of really changed me. So it's been tough dealing with that, coping with that.
You're on meth still to this day?
Yeah, and that's I'm struggling with it. It's tough to let go. Um, I feel like I could be okay without it, but the minute I get off of it, there's something or something that just clicks that just makes me go right back to it.
Like what?
So
So,
I can't.
like some setback or
Some setbacks, something a thought comes to my
something
mind, some
stressful?
emotion, stressful, whatever it is, and anything, as far as whatever trigger, and I just go running back straight to it. So it's frustrating.
And where are you staying now?
Right now I'm in a tent. I stay towards like Washington, Alameda. So it's been tough. The other day I got my backpack stolen. I was asleep in my tent, and my backpack I had it inside the tent. So someone came in, unzipped my tent, and took the backpack while I was sleeping.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, that's
When
that's
you
pretty.
sleep on meth, you sleep for days, right?
Oh yeah, you're to deep sleep. So it's just.
But you'll stay up for how many days?
It depends. Some days I'll stay up for 2 days. Most of the time it's about 3 or 4 days.
Three or 4 days straight. But
3 or 4 days straight, yeah, binging. So it's just nonstop.
what happens to your mind when you go 4 days without sleep?
Oh man, just you start to lose it. You start to hallucinate. You start to kind of hear voices. You start to kind of lose touch with reality. So it's pretty intense as far as the different trips that you get out of it. They could be a lot more severe than the others, but it's almost like your brain's melting. It's really surreal.
Tell me about the consistency of the meth that you'll buy.
Um,
Is it always the same, or is it?
Yeah, that's the thing. As far as dosage, I'm pretty careful, depending on if it's really good. If it's really good shit, then of course, I'll take a little more than what I'm usually capable of taking, but it's to the point where um, I'm taking almost a teener to an 8 ball a day. So it's tough. That's a lot of drugs.
And what does crystal meth do to your libido?
Well, what it does is it just increases the libido, as far as that. So, and that's another thing too, as far as the rush, the adrenaline rush that you get part of it, the full body high. So that's where that would come in.
So then you go into what kind of behavior?
It depends. With me, I'm a recluse. So as far as what my behavior, I kind of keep it to myself. So, but of course with that, there's different things. You run into someone else, who's on the same page, and there's a lot of like, hooking up. There's a lot of things like that, flings. Just I guess you'd say like casual encounters. So there's things like that, and I've done that as well too.
What about sexually transmitted diseases out there?
Yeah, it's real. I was naive, completely naive about that, and about how scary it really is. I just recently, my whole world changed. I was diagnosed with HIV.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
How long ago was that you found out?
This was only 6 months ago, so it's still hitting me like a ton of bricks. It's still dealing with it, coping with it, having to swallow that. I'm just so careful. I thought I was just so careful, and I would inject sometimes too. So I would what they would call it slamming. So I was doing that, along with smoking it. So
Did you, do you think you caught HIV from a partner or from using a used needle?
Thinking back, it could have been either or. To be completely honest, it could have been either or. But
I'm sorry about that.
no, it's all right.
But there's all kinds of great treatments now, so
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what I've been told. So it's just like
it's not the death sentence it was a couple decades
like it
ago.
used to be, because it's a killer. I mean, it's real. It just destroys your immune system. When I found out my viral load was so insanely high, it was pretty tough to swallow. Little things like my lymph nodes were swelling up, and
Did you feel any different?
yeah, I felt a little like I was getting dragged down, like someone's pulling me down. Like I felt like I didn't have the same energy I used to have. Things just were kind of off, and that's when I kind of knew that something was wrong. So
Do you have any friends?
no, I have no friends. I keep to myself. Friends can be sometimes costly. There's a lot of drama involved, so I just, especially on the street,
You can't really trust anybody
you
on the
can't
street.
trust anybody. It is creepy, so it's tough.
Yeah, you're in a snake pit.
Oh yeah, pretty much, and that's exactly what it is. It's a damn snake pit. So,
And are you still in contact with any family or?
yeah, I'm still in contact with my mom. My brother lost contact with me. He kind of just let me go, so to speak. He said that he felt that I wasn't going to change, that things are going to remain the same. So he's better off just leaving me alone. My mom still keeps in contact with me. I still talk to her over the phone, but it's just kind of, how do I tell them, what's really going on and what's really happening and how tough it's been, how really hard it is, and then dealing with all of what I'm dealing with, and on top of that, having that diagnosis now. So it's been really just eating at me. It's my depression's pretty severe at this
Is
point.
depression the biggest
Oh,
emotion you deal with?
Yeah, it's the biggest, I guess, crusher.
And then
that
living
just
in the
kinda-
streets in a tent has got to make it hard.
Oh yeah, it's pretty depressing. All you could do is just sit and cope with it. Do my best to cope with it, and try to get through the day, fill the day up, try to keep myself busy. It's tough.
How do you support yourself?
Right now, I support myself doing little things here and there, little odd jobs. I get general relief and food stamps, and that's pretty much it. So my income that I have as far as money is about $500 a month. So it's pretty much nothing. It's barely anything.
Do you feel helpless against your addiction?
Yes, sometimes I do. I really do. Sometimes I think like, oh, okay, I have a handle on it. I think that, I got it together, and then just something happens where it's just that it just ends up crushing me. It's frustrating. So it's something that I, want to deal with.
What do you worry about now? What's your biggest fear?
The biggest fear is failure always, and it seems like every time I start something, something happens, like some sort of setback, something bad. So it's frustrating. It's to the point where I've tried so many times to get my life back on track that I just to the point where I think I've pretty much given up.
Really? Do you feel like your addiction may have stemmed from the fact that both your parents are alcoholics, maybe?
Yeah, I think about that from time to time, and I think that's having that as an example, as far as your parents, I think it did a lot more damage to me than I really realized, as far as my behavior, my impulsiveness and everything else like that. I think that's where a lot of it stems from. It was just a really bad example of how two adults should behave, and in a relationship, in a marriage, especially when you have kids. So it's disturbing.
Have you been in love before?
Oh, was that?
Have you been in love before?
Yeah, I've had a ex, and I was with the same person for 17 years.
Oh, really?
17 years, yeah. So we were together for a long time, and um, I have one daughter and a stepson, and she left me about 6 years ago. Was in the middle of remodeling a condo. She finished the condo up, sold it, took all the money and left. And so
Was that because of the drugs, you think?
I think so. It was a lot. I mean, we're not saints. We both did our dirt and everything else like that. But she was pretty much done. I think it was the relationship. I had caught her online looking for somebody, as far as trying to meet somebody else. So when I saw that, that was kind of just my coming to, I guess, really seeing everything for what it is, that it's just, it's over. So it was tough. And um, ever since then, it feels like my use and my drug use, and, I've been getting a little bit more, I guess, intense. It's been consistently just crappy,
Looking back at your life, what would you have done differently if you had another chance?
Oh, if I had another chance, I'd go to school full time. For right out of high school, I would have went to college, and got my bachelor's, and went to work, and did the normal thing. Maybe get into work with a government, or even at one point I was even thinking about doing law enforcement at the time too.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you think this living on the streets and doing drugs and addiction has changed you?
It's been a nightmare. Still is a nightmare. It's nothing. That's what I'm trying to say, is that it eats at you. So you slowly start to lose yourself. As far as things that you normally wouldn't do, you start to see that kind of that bar that you set for yourself, or that line, slowly fade away with being out in the street. So I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things that I know other people go through, but it's just like, for me, that's what it's been like. It's just
And then the
been,
setbacks of like
all this. Oh yeah, it's been tough.
having HIV and things like that just
Oh yeah,
make it even
it's
more discouraging, right?
very discouraging. It's kind of just, what's the point now? So might as well just continue to use.
What was your favorite memory in your life?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Um, Man, I guess having um, my son with me, and then the day my daughter was born. So it's a big deal, you know. I miss them. It's tough. It's frustrating.
Do you feel like if your parents were not dealing with their own addictions that your life may have played out differently?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, did you feel loved as a kid?
Oh, was that? I'm sorry.
Did you feel loved as a kid?
Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. You know, to be honest with you, it's just there was no consistency. It was either it was one extreme to the other. They were constantly fighting, beating each other up, literally physically, and then taking it out on us when they were done. So it just we got it from, I used to almost say, both ends, and uh, yeah, it just wasn't an easy thing. Coping with all that when you're a kid, you know, it it did do a lot to me. So
David, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned after all of this?
um, I guess a lesson, you know, as far as oh man, that's a tough one. Would just to remain self-sufficient, you know, to never put yourself in a situation where you know, you're without, you know, as far as especially the bare necessities, you know, housing, transportation, things like that. You know, I look at it and I should have never let those things go. When that started to happen, then that's when I really saw, like, wow, okay, this is real. This is where I'm at. I'm actually a homeless man. I'm homeless, and I'm at this age, and I'm 38 years old. You know, it's it's kind of tough to swallow. You know, when you
Did it
kind of
happen
realize
in a
it.
way that just kind of crept up on you, and all of a sudden you
It
realized
crept up on me
you
completely.
didn't even realize it was happening?
No, I didn't even realize it was happening. You know, it's just one minute things were okay, and then the next second found myself sleeping in shelters. It was that quick. And, you know, I just, you know, I can't describe how quick it was, but it was pretty intense. You know, losing everything, losing contact with everyone, and having everyone turn their back on you. You know, it was pretty extreme.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck with your health and everything else.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.